It doesn't matter what your dreams and hopes and ambitions are. It doesn't matter if you have a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend or you've got plans for the future. You can forget those plans because you're going to wind up dead.
Hello and welcome to the debut episode of Decayed Tapes, an SOV whole movie podcast. I am Max Booth. I am joined, as always, because this is episode 1 and we have nothing to compare this to, with my co-host.
This is Miguel Myers. Miguel Myers ATX. You may know me as the host of My Horror Confessional,
Which is a podcast.
a classic horror movie podcast, right?
Proudly now on the Ghoulish Podcast Network, as well as Decayed Tapes.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Fresh information, hot off the presses.
Yeah, no one knows about this yet, but also we are recording this episode in the beginning of September. If I had to guess, we will launch the podcast beginning of October. So maybe by then we will have announced all of these things, and this could be old news. I don't know.
I mean, it already feels like old news to me.
I'm sick of it already. For those who don't know me, I am Max Booth. I co-run Ghoulish Books, which is both a small press and bookshop based in Texas, specifically in Selma, Texas, which is a small town at the edge of San Antonio. I also write books. I do podcasting. I hosted the Castle Rock Radio for about 3 years. That was a Stephen King themed podcast. Hated it. The realest time of my life. We stopped that. I've launched a new podcast called Just Ghoulish, which is an interview podcast. But now we're doing a new podcast as well called Decayed Tapes. And I thought, gotta get Miguel to be my co-host because he watches more movies than I do, and I don't think I could convince anyone else to agree to do this.
Both of those are true.
You pretty much agreed to do this right away.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like, I mean, first of all, we're friends, and I love the opportunity to work with you and hang out with you a bit more. But also, shot on video or SOV movies is kind of a blank spot in my viewership of horror movies. It's like I'm addicted to horror movies, but I've only seen a handful of shot on video films. So if you're coming here for expertise from myself, it's not going to happen. Like in regular horror movies, probably I can hold my own, but shot on video, not so much. So I'm hoping to rectify that by, watching some crappy horror movies with my friend and just geeking out on some other horror films.
Yeah, I would say I'm in the same boat. This definitely is not a podcast hosted by two SOV experts. This is not like the Bleeding Skull podcast. I saw a bunch of them as a kid, we would rent them from Hollywood Video, but since then I haven't sought them out that often. I don't know why. Maybe I'm pretentious, or maybe I just don't think about them that often. But recently I found myself watching a few just on YouTube and also the streaming app Tubi. And it's just, there's something about them that I quite enjoy just thinking about and talking about. But my wife doesn't want to talk about SOB movies with me for some reason. So I thought it would be best just to begin a podcast with someone I could talk about them with. And together we could kind of educate ourselves about all of these movies that we haven't seen, and maybe some we have seen but we forgot about, or we blacked out on, just because some of these movies you can't remember. You don't want to remember them, but
Yeah, and to be let's do trigger warnings up front. This is going to be a very problematic. All these movies there's no filter. It's like your next door neighbor got access to a camera and could shoot whatever he wanted, wherever he wanted, demean whoever he wants, make as many racist and sexist jokes as he wants, and make that into a movie. So you kind of have to understand that going into this kind of subgenre of film, that it's going to be really problematic. And I said that because there was one movie that we were thinking of showing at Ghoulish Books for this month or next month. I don't remember when it was, and it was a shot on video film. I don't remember the name of it, but I was just like fast forwarding through it real quick, and it came upon like a really graphic sexual assault.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, probably not the best movie to like be broadcasting at a book event where there could be multiple people, you know.
Yeah,
But
I forget the name of that movie, but I think it was wrestling themed.
yeah, something massacre, regardless of what it was. So then I was like, okay, that's what got me thinking that these are going to be there's going to be problematic moments in this movie. So when we're talking about, we're just setting it out there now in the first episode. I don't want to have to freaking do that every we could do trigger warnings every episode. I have no backbone. I have no spine. I came back
You
right away.
immediately back down, which I respect. Let's
Yeah.
just let it be known this is not your grandma's podcast. We're going to be talking about some heavy topics made by some pretty interesting filmmakers and some bona fide psychopaths. And that's why I love SOV so much. Is not most of the movies will not great, most of them will not good, but I do find them a little bit inspirational just because of what you said. Not so much the freedom to be racist part, but the freedom to just go out with your friends and make a movie and say fuck everything else, fuck the rules of traditional filmmaking. I have a camera, I have some friends, I have access to a video shop, maybe I have access to a cabin. I'm just gonna go and we're gonna make this movie with the supplies we can afford. And sometimes that like means $20 worth of stuff. In the case of the movie we're talking about today, I've seen variations of the budget from $5 to a few hundred. And it usually shows, but that's like the positive aspect of it, the cheapness of it, the way they get around not having a big budget. I believe you were going to talk a little bit, Miguel, about like what exactly SOV means for anyone who is listening to this and isn't quite positive.
Yeah, so SOV or shot on video, real quick, it's just or it's also known as shot on VHS film. It's a camcorder film. It's a film shot using camcorders and consumer grade equipments as opposed to like film stock or like high-end digital movie cameras. Shot on video films emerged in the wake of the release of Sony's professional grade Betacam and consumer grade beta movie camcorders in 1983. Many shot on video films are low budget and belong in the horror subgenre. So some of the ones like the more known movies are like Boarding House, Sledgehammer, 555, Wood Chipper Massacre, the McPherson tapes, and then the movie we're going to be talking about today, Video Violence from 1987. So, I mean, that's a real quick, you kind of understand. It's shot on video, SOV, that's what it means. It's funny, like I'm remembering right now, back in 94, 95, some friends and I shot not a movie. We shot scenes that we thought was going to be a movie. We're 13 years old. It was nothing. Like it literally was ridiculous. But that was kind of the spirit of it. Somebody has a camera. Everybody loves horror movies. Get your friends together and just fucking do it. And I love that. And like you were saying, yeah, they're not a lot of them aren't the best. A lot of them are really bad. But it's the spirit of it. They fucking went out and they did it and they tried something. And as long as you like watch these movies through that lens, I think you'll have more of a more fun time. Like for example, in this movie, like just seeing the special effects and knowing, or the practical effects, I should say, and knowing that there was a cut in the edit right when they needed it to be in the next, then they go back and like the head's off. It's like, okay, I know what you did, but you just like it, it's just you have to like the process of filmmaking.
Some of the fun is figuring out like how they do the practical effects in these movies, because usually they've done it in a way that you could probably do if you wanted to, because they had to figure that out maybe even on the day of, like maybe they didn't even think ahead. Now, before we jump into the movie itself, I would love to know like any other details about this not a movie that you made, because you've never told me about this.
Well, it's funny. I had like a recovered memory as I was talking, like 5 seconds before I'd said it right now on the podcast. I remembered it. So my friends and so I was like in 7th or 8th grade, and I don't even remember whose camcorder it was, but we would shoot at each other's houses in the backyards because our parents weren't going to let us shoot inside the house. And we would just like film scenes. It's like, okay, now you're gonna get your head hit off with a baseball bat, right? And so my friend, I think it was my friend Adam, was the one who was like holding the camera, and then somebody was holding the bat, and then they would pretend to swing, and just right when the bat was going to make contact with my head, we stop recording, right? And then you do the old, the thing where you put the shirt over your head, and then you had some blood spurting out, and then you start filming again, and that was the effect, just silly stuff like that. That's the spirit in which these movies are made.
Yeah. And my own, I had something similar when I was a kid, although, I mean, we are not the same age. I'm a little bit younger than you.
Thanks, appreciate that.
I just want everyone to realize that I am younger than you. I want them to know that. But I say that only because I didn't have a videotape recorder, but I did have a cheap little digital camera, and I would make movies with my friends. Well, I would try to, but I was really the only one who wanted to do it, and I would get really frustrated with how unprofessional the rest of my friends would be. I would want to do like multiple takes, and they would be like, "No, I don't want to do that," and they didn't want to know the lines. They just wanted to fuck around, and it always ended up with me getting mad and just going home. But we try to do a few things. Like I know because I listened to a commentary track of I think The Hills Have Eyes. That's how I discovered to make fake guts. If you get like condoms and put like peanut butter inside of them, that's what they did in that movie. So I wanted to do that, but my mom wouldn't buy me condoms at the age of 9, which is how I ended up with 2 children. Thankfully,
that was a good joke.
thank you. I thought I'd be on the spot. I completely forget where I was going with that, but oh yeah, just to say that I think a lot of people like us who are obsessed with these low budget horror movies and spend so much of their time watching these types of movies that were made decades ago by people who never exactly went on to become famous. We have that type of upbringing to relate to, maybe, but we also try to do these things and do not succeed.
I'm still holding out hope. I'm still holding it. That's why actually I'm doing this podcast. So I'm asking you guys for money so that I can shoot my video.
We were really ambitious with this. We're recording episode 1 right now. Nobody knows this podcast is a thing, but we've already launched a Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/Decayed Tapes, we will be posting the video versions of these episodes exclusively on Patreon, and we will probably be posting like the upcoming schedule, the movies we plan to talk about, and maybe some other bonuses we haven't talked about yet. So Decayed Tapes is the Patreon if you want to throw us a buck or so. Yeah, I think that's enough introing people. They came to this podcast because they want to listen to 2 guys talk about a movie. Do you have anything? You have a face like you wanted to bring something up.
I did
Oh
want to
shit.
say, so
fuck.
I had two points to make, and then we can start. One is that you have actually made a short film in which I was the boom mic operator, and I have to say that people said that was probably some of the best booming they've ever seen. That's what we call it.
It was the best booming I've seen.
Exactly.
And I've been on like an indie film studio.
Yeah, and then so you made a short film, and what was it called again?
Satan, my own self, his own self, Satan, his own self.
Yeah,
it's on YouTube.
Pretty good. Yeah, and then you actually went on to make a movie 2 years ago, right? So
yeah, I think
you have some expertise.
3. We made it in 2020, buddy.
Holy shit!
Yeah. The movie is called We Need to Do Something, by the way. It's every TikTok's most hated movie. we need to do something. A movie about a family stuck in a bathroom. I wrote it. I did not direct it, but I was on set for the whole movie, so I do have fairly small experience with filmmaking.
Yeah. But so that's the only things I wanted to say. But yeah, we can definitely get into talking about video violence.
What is this time, Mr. Emery? Another act of video violence?
This morning we found a tape in our Dropbox. It was a tape of a murder, shot on video.
This town has a strange preoccupation with violence. But the only thing we seem to rent are gory horror movies.
The big thing to do on Saturday night is sit in front of the tube and watch people getting killed.
You lay off them monster movies for a while. You stick with the kiddie stuff.
All right, so this week we're talking about Video Violence from 1987, and it was directed by Gary P. Cohen. And this, real quick, a one-sentence synopsis of the movie: a husband and wife open a video store in a new town, and come to find out that the locals only rent horror films and the occasional triple Xer, and make their own snuff videos.
The occasional triple XL.
Yeah.
Now, for those who don't know what that means, can you go to the Wikipedia page for triple XL?
Wait. I'm going to go to the Wikipedia page for pornography.
You're going to find a Wikipedia for the movie Triple X. Everyone loves Vin Diesel in this town.
Yeah, everybody's just walking around with bald caps on.
I just realized the joke you made about the filmography Wikipedia page, and I hate you. For those listening who don't know, it's not even a joke, and I don't. How do you do this? How did I tell you this?
I got you drunk one night. No, I don't know. I think if it wasn't in your book, in the most recent book, the anthology or short story collection, then I think we're just fucking talking one day. I think we share too much in chat.
We do. But now we have to tell the
you
audience
don't have
because we brought it up. We're gonna be like, what kind of fucking podcast is this? This cock tease of a podcast.
Once we get 10 patrons on Patreon, then Max will tell you the story about Wikipedia page for pornography. It's a good one too.
You are great at advertising Patreon. What a milking genius.
Yeah. No,
this is where the age difference comes into effect. I was ready to just give it all immediately, but to take your time and tease it out. So Video Violence has a great tagline, I think. When renting is not enough. Now, I've seen some pages claim that the movie is actually called Video Violence ... when renting is not enough. But I think that's ridiculous. I think that's just like a movie, like a VHS tape cover promo line, right?
Well, yeah, because otherwise if you're looking at the cover, it would be, could this happen at your video store? Video Violence ... when renting is not enough.
One. Because we should mention there are two of these movies. I've only seen one. Have you seen two?
No, I haven't. I've not seen. I just, after watching this on Tubi, and yes, I know Tubi is owned by Fox. I know. I just shut up about it.
Oh, is that a problem with you?
No, it's not. I mean, it is.
It is.
But anyway, after I was done with this movie, then it started immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was video violence too. I was like, oh shit, didn't even realize it.
I gotta bring up, Tubi is owned by a terrible company, but they have an amazing catalog of SOV movies, and we will probably be using them quite a bit. We will be using Tubi, YouTube, possibly piracy. We will be using many Blu-rays and DVDs we've both acquired over the years and have never opened from Vinegar Syndrome. This, honestly, the reason to do this podcast is to make me feel like I haven't wasted a lot of money with Vinegar Syndrome and Bleeding Skull and those boutique Blu-ray labeled. Also, if anyone from like Vinegar Syndrome is listening and they want to sponsor the podcast, hit us up.
Or even Bleeding Skull. Like, honestly, my goal for this is to meet Annie Choi and Joe Ziemba from Bleeding Skull, have them come on possibly, and not a promotion, sorry, sponsorship from them. I they're a small website, so probably not, but Vinegar Syndrome would be dope.
You have a little bit of a rom-com relationship with Joe, don't you?
He's always just right out of
the other day you sent me a photo of him and he was just standing in front of you and you were just following him. You said, "This is Joe."
I was recording actually. No, Joe Ziemba from he's from Ag From. He's also from Bleeding Skull. Him and his partner Annie Choi run Bleeding Skull, and they put out 2 books that we're going to be referencing a lot in this. I hate when yeah.
Okay, so if anyone's watching the video on Patreon, I am holding the first volume up right now from the 1980s version. There's also a 1990s volume that I can't reach.
You left it in the bathroom?
I did not leave it. I did not take it in the bathroom in case your neighbor is listening. But if he's not listening, I absolutely took it in the bathroom.
But so they run Bleeding Skull, and Joe also does Terror Tuesdays here in Austin. And I've been going to Terror Tuesdays since 2015, 2016, and he's been running it since then. And I have maybe said 2-3 sentences to the guy. It's always like, "Thanks, Joe. Great movie, Joe." Just something like that. And people like stop and like have full conversations from it. And I'm like a little girl, like, yeah.
Now you have a reason to hit him up. Like, hey, I'm doing a podcast that is specifically about something you're interested in. Let's be friends.
Let's do it. Let's be buddies. Let's be buds.
Before we go any deeper into this, I guess we haven't said it yet, but like, we are going to spoil everything about these movies. So if you want to watch this without knowing what happens, pause the podcast. We already got the download, so we're good. Go watch the movie. It's on Tubi. It's on YouTube, I think. Also, I think Vinegar Syndrome did the release of it, but I don't own that one, sadly. I wish I did, because I wanted to listen to the DVD commentary tracks with Cohen, the director, writer of the movie, but I don't have it.
So you told me that you had a little bit of information on him. Do you want to save that for later, or did you want to say now?
Oh, the link I sent you?
You said about the director that you had some information about him, like looking
Oh, okay. We can talk about it after the fact. It has to do with a documentary that he made about the fandom of the movie.
Okay. That's great to talk about after we finish.
Yeah, so video violence. Let's talk about this. 1987, correct? And this comes out, this is made because, Gilly Cohen, the guy who would go on to make this movie, he owns a video shop in, I believe, New Jersey. I may be wrong about the state, but I think that's right. Owns a video shop. Now, I've seen 2 different, sightings of what inspired him to make this movie. Anecdote 1 is the funny one. He was behind the counter at the video shop. This woman, she comes up with her kid and she hands him a movie. I believe the movie is I Dismember Ma. Does that sound like a movie?
None that I've ever heard of.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, I Dismember Mama. That's the name of the movie. And she says, I have it right in front of me. See, I come prepared. So she wants to know if this movie called I Dismember Mama contains any sex. And Cohen tells this woman that he doesn't remember if there's any sexual content, but he knows there's lots of graphic violence. And the woman decides to rent the movie and says, as long as there's no sex in it, then it's going to be okay for a little kid to watch. So after that, that's kind of what inspired him to go and make this movie. And there's even a great scene in the movie itself that kind of mimics this. The other little anecdote I've seen online of what inspired him to make this was simply he was looking at all the spooky slashers and shit that he had at the video shop, and he said to one of his co-workers, "Hey, wouldn't it be great if we could make a movie that we could sell at this shop?" And it's really possible both of those things happened, and those combined kind of gave him the incentive to just go ahead and do it. I don't know. Both of them have been quoted from the DVD commentary, which I have not listened to, and I deeply regret not having the Blu-ray, so I could have listened to it ahead of time. But we have those to go on from what I've found online.
It's funny because that that scene in the movie seemed like the most like genuine scene, the most like thought out scene where he that character that the mom with the baby, she's literally holding an infant in her hand, goes up to him and asks if it has nudity or whatever. I was like, wow, that's like a kind of a message. This is the most thought out part of the whole movie. Not to say that, you know, there weren't other parts that were kind of good, but I felt like that was kind of the high point of anything that they were trying to say.
It felt almost out of place.
Yes, 100%.
Feels like for that brief scene, I felt like I was in a Kevin Smith movie almost, which I didn't mind. Like I would have enjoyed middle scenes of just them doing video shop stuff. But I mean, this is not that type of movie.
Right.
I think I read somewhere else, Phil, he said one of the like driving forces of making this movie was to kind of poke fun at the people who basically view sex as more taboo than graphic killing and violence. And this, I mean, I would say it probably reaches that accomplishment. I don't know. I had a note in my massive legal pad of notes of possible conversation topics, and that segues right into one. And I want to know, like, when you were a kid, what were you allowed to watch? Did you have any like limits? Did you have to put your hands over your eyes when nudity happened? What was the rules in the Miguel household?
I think it's different for me because we were first generation, and my parents, well, my mom didn't speak too much English. My dad spoke English, but like when I was growing up, he worked at night, so he wasn't really at home when we were watching TV. And so like we kind of watched anything. I mean, we didn't have cable for a very long time. And when we did, then we still didn't really have any. So literally anything, we could watch anything. The reason why I love horror movies, one of the reasons why I love horror movies, is because my older brother would watch horror movies with his friends downstairs in the basement. We had a 3-flat and he lived in the basement. And so he was like 10 years older than me. So I'm just literally watching, and this is the mid to late 80s. And so watching anything that's coming out, that's what I'm watching, you know, over their shoulders I'm watching. So didn't really have any limitations. The only thing that we couldn't watch was the Playboy channel. Because we still, at one point when I was like 11 or 12, we got a black box and we got all the channels, including the Playboy channel or whatever. So we couldn't watch that.
Now, for those listening who were born in the 90s and do not know what a black box is, please explain.
A black box is basically how you steal cable. Do you remember the Simpsons episode where the cable guy would come over and offered to get Homer free cable for like $50, and he installed something in? Literally that. That's
how does that work?
It descrambles the signal. So there was you had the coaxial cable going into your TV, and the way that they would make it so you couldn't see them is they would scramble the images. with this digital box, it would
Oh.
unscramble the images and make all these channels available to you.
Oh shit, that makes so much sense. Now I understand why like all those channels just fuzz. Okay, this is an
See, you're
educational
learning.
podcast. Wow.
See, Grandpa's teaching you something.
Grandpa Miguel, Grampy Miguel. This was a new pizza place I opened in my town called Grampy's, and I keep seeing photos on like the town Facebook group about it, and I am desperate to eat it. But at the moment, both of us actually are trying to not eat pizza and stuff, and I am losing my fucking mind, Miguel.
I had some fries today and I almost cried. They were so good.
This morning we had breakfast tacos, and it's like the first like killed thing we've had in a while, and they look delicious. And I had like this whole moment where I must have sounded like a fucking idiot, but I was like, if you go without something that's good for a long time, then you have it. It tastes even better. But it's true.
And Laura's like, shut the fuck up and pass the salsa.
Yeah, well, she didn't use the tortilla. She was good. She ate out of the tortilla. I devoured the tortilla. Anyway, as far as like my case goes, really similar. I have siblings, 10 and 11 years older than I am. They were all into that genre, and we would watch it nonstop as a kid. No big limits besides nudity. So like watching video violence and reading in some of the inspiration he had with it, it does like strike home a bit, because I could watch the most fucked up graphic kill scene, but as soon as like a nipple was visible, I had like cover my eyes. I've mentioned this before on the various Hevel podcast, but it's really funny, I think. Like the movie From Dusk Till Dawn, the entire like second half of the movie I wasn't able to see, so it kind of caught me by surprise when I finally watched it alone that fucking vampires are in it.
So who was making you cover your eyes?
My mom, and also just me.
Okay.
Like in case someone was watching me.
You were just like putting middle fingers up to everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
When it comes to nudity, it's odd because like it also, I had that instinct like when my stepson was younger, and I would watch movies with him too. Like I would like tell him to cover his eyes, but then I would think like, well, we're watching like fucked up slasher. Why should I have him do that? But he didn't really like to watch those types of movies that much, so it didn't happen too often. But it's still funny how that follows you. Like I wonder if my mom also had to cover her eyes, although probably I don't know what the history of nudity in films or like when that became so prominent. Probably not so much when she was a kid.
Yeah, post Psycho probably.
That
Post Peeping Tom.
I think Psycho was missing graphic nudity.
100%.
Thankfully, that remake covered the masturbation noises with Vince Vaughn. Classic jerk off. What is a movie like Video Violence doing with a prologue? What type of movie does it think it is?
Also, do those people, so there's a prologue and you immediately like the first image you see is of a dude with a button-down shirt, and the buttons are all the way open, and you're seeing the chest meat, and automatically I'm like, okay, I think I might love this movie. Like some of the joy of watching these SOV movies is the time period that they're shot in, and watching like, the clothes, the
mustaches.
The mustaches are so fucking good.
Just the entire like set decoration of that. I don't even know what type of shop that was. It had like plain clothes, but it also had building goods in it. It was also the size of a hallway. So I know
exactly what kind of store this is. We had these. So Mexico, when I would go visit my family, we'd go to the tianguis. The tianguis is like an outdoor market, and it essentially that's what they looked like from floor to ceiling, just random jeans in whatever order, but the person behind the counter knows exactly what order it is and where to go and stuff like that. And it's all off-brand clothing, you know. So yeah, I know exactly what was going on here. But my question was, are those the two guys? No, those are two different dudes, right? Because
So
in the
I had a
movie,
note about these guys.
yeah,
Are these the same two guys who run the deli in the second half of the movie?
I know, I thought that as well, but the guys in the deli are a bit older and goofier looking than these two
But we
dudes.
don't know when the prologue takes place. Also, wait a second.
Oh, are you saying like we're going through time? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I was thinking, oh, the prologue took place way in the past, but that wouldn't make sense with the video camera technology, huh?
Right, yeah, and yeah. But also, um, I love the fact that they're only using the mic that's built in with the camera because the audio is going over each other. Like there's two different sets of people having conversations, and it all gets muddled in because they're only using the mic from the camera. At least in that scene, it sounded like it looked like they were.
Now, I'm glad you already did the disclaimer that you have done a mic job with the movie I've made, because you definitely sound like a professional mic boom boy. Okay, Mike Boom Boy, you could say. Stupid. Cut that.
You're editing.
I'm not gonna cut it. But yeah, you're right, and I'm glad I have the expertise on this podcast to point things like that out, because I would have just went straight over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just have notes. I don't know if you wanted to go back and forth with notes.
Yeah, we can keep talking about this prologue. I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean, what happens in the prologue is this woman comes in, she wants to buy tan pants, right? Well, I don't know,
Pants shirt. Yeah.
I thought it was pants.
I got
Already
the notes. I got my notes.
controversial podcast, real fighting already. This is a feud.
This is over. This is a blood feud.
She goes into the dressing room. These two bewildered shop men, is what you would call them. One watches on the video security camera that they have installed in the dressing room, and the other one beats Joel to death with a baseball bat. Although it's still some pretty funny, I think, like makeup that they've done, because like he hits Joel one time in the back with the bat, and suddenly his face is covered in blood.
Yeah. And so you said it's a security camera. It's more like it's a hidden camera.
It's a hidden security camera.
They're peeping toms. They're like they're perverts.
You don't think
It's a
every
sex pervert
dressing
movie.
room has a security camera in it?
You know, growing up, like whenever I would go to like JCPenney or whatever, like you go to the I did sound old saying JCPenney. I wish I had said something else.
Why? I've been to JCPenney.
Okay.
They exist. There's one down the street from me.
I was gonna say like Montgomery Ward. That would have made me sound really old.
I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, me neither. I never heard of. So JCPenney, like when I would go to a dressing room, I always thought that there was cameras in there, but they can't, right? They can't do that. It's illegal.
Can't. I mean,
Yeah.
they can't.
They can't.
I'm doing finger quotations for those who are not Patreons yet. If you want to see me do finger quotations, go to patreon.com/Decayed Tapes. Do you have any like dressing room stories at all? Like I was thinking ahead of time, oh, surely we would both have like really funny, amusing anecdotes involving dressing rooms, but I don't have anything. I don't like them.
Like in and out. I'm kind of like in and out there.
Yeah.
I'm really doing a lot of business in there.
I was thinking like any good movies with dressing room scenes, and the only one I could even think of was Jackie Brown, which has an amazing dressing room sequence.
Yeah, I was gonna say El Santo versus Dr. Death, but that was a bathroom stall when he
Yes.
he uses his yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, but that's a bathroom stall. Yeah, I can't think of it. I'm sure there's dressing room things.
What is the real or maybe oddest place you've ever had to change clothes?
I'd say in the back seat of a stranger's car, like because I got my clothes dirty before I went into a club, so I had to switch out.
Are you a big club man?
I was a big club man back in the day. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty It's pretty cool, Miguel.
Another news flash. You guys are learning a lot. Yeah, or like when we would go to Indiana Dunes.
I used to do that.
Yeah, when we go to Indiana Dunes or change in the backseat of the car, or like if couldn't find the person or whatever, just change on the side, like between cars, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How about you?
Oh, so a few yields back, we were on vacation, driving around. We went to Indiana. I guess I should mention that I live in San Antonio, but I grew up in Indiana. You live in Austin. You grew up in Chicago, is that
I
right?
grew up in Chicago. Yeah,
Okay.
I was in Chicago until 2015, so just a couple of years ago.
That's when you finally grew up. We were in St. Louis because I was doing a book event. I was doing a reading with some friends, and we found, I don't know, it was some like historic bridge or something we wanted to check out that we saw like on a map. So we went to check it out. It was fine. It's just a plain small bridge. But we found a creek underneath this bridge. And so we went down to check it out. And the creek had these rocks spread across the water. And I said, "Hey guys, watch this. I'm gonna hop across." So I ran and I did like a quick run bouncing off of all these rocks until I was in the middle of the creek. And I had a pretty expensive camera with me at the time too, around my neck. So I chilled around and I said, "This is a great view. I'm going to get a photo of you guys. So like pose, I'll take a photo of you." And I did. I have that photo framed in my house. It's a good photo. And then my wife was like, "You are going to fall down." And I said, "I am not going to fall down. I am confident with my agility," which is verbatim of what I screamed back. And then I stepped forward and immediately fell face down on my camera. Somehow it didn't break, but I was soaking wet. I should mention, as we were going to the bridge, we passed what was obviously like a wedding photo shoot going on. So they were doing that. We passed and went down to the creek. I fall into the creek. I get soaked. We walk back. The bride and groom are looking at me, and they know what happened because I am dripping from head to toe. They know I fell into the creek. We had to open the trunk and find clean clothes that were not covered in mud and creek water, and I just kind of changed on the side of the vehicle while this wedding looked at me.
And you've listened to your wife ever since.
I have that. She said, "Don't do this podcast." Look at this now.
With this, I'm assuming the camera was fine
Yeah, it was
because
fine.
you got the picture out of it. Okay.
Yeah, I still use it sometimes. I'm pretty dumb with technology, and it recently it does this setting real like the lighting gets really junk on it, and I can't figure out how to make that not happen. So I haven't used it in a while.
But at this point, isn't that camera like 10 years old or something? The digital
Oh,
camera?
this was like 2 or 3 years ago, buddy.
Oh, okay.
It must have been like in 2018, 2019. Okay. It was before COVID. Yeah. It's only 2023, buddy.
Yeah. No, I know. Whenever anybody says pre-COVID, I just like get flashbacks. So.
You okay?
I'm good now.
We've only talked about the prologue of this
yeah.
thing. I will say, so I think when we watch these movies, we're not going to see a lot of good technical camera work. But in the case of this movie, there's quite a bit. There's some cool zooms. There's some cool transitions, like with this prologue. It ends with the guy taking the baseball bat and taking the top of it and shoving it into the lady's face. But we watch it from the point of view of the lady, so the bat goes into the camera, and that's when we get to the beginning sequence of the movie.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. I mean, you could tell perhaps they could have sped it up or something because you could tell he was being very careful.
He only had one camera. I assume. Yeah. I don't know.
Do not fuck this up, right? But yeah, some of my notes is a pretty good opening. Like it's creepy. You know, they're leering at this woman, and as soon as she walks in, and then there was one other customer in that store. That customer leaves, and then essentially they like attack this woman, and then you know the guy tears her shirt off, and so we get like the first shot of like naked breasts, which was necessary for a movie in the 80s. And then like he beats her to death, and so I thought that was a pretty decent opening. And then
I love what you just said out of context. Yeah, she gets naked, then she beats Syl to death. It was a decent opening.
yeah, but what was funny is, and this kind of comes back later on, maybe as an Easter egg. It starts as Little Zach Productions. That's like the production company of the movie, and then that comes back later on in the movie as well. But then we see the video violence logo, I guess, and it looks so fucking good. Like I want a T-shirt of that video violence logo.
Can you remind me of what that looks like? I'm drawing a blank. This is just like what it looks like on the poster of it.
I think so. I think it's just the words
in red bloody font.
Yeah.
I will probably have like a photo made of the podcast logo and also the movie poster, like when we promote the podcast, so people will see that too. They don't have to Google it. I love the opening credits, I have to say. It just follows this vehicle driving through what is it? Frenchville town? Frenchland? Oh, Frenchtown, New Jersey, which is a real town, the same town they filmed it in. It follows this vehicle driving across this long bridge. I don't know if the bridge has a creek though, but it follows it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please step over me.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, that already is miles ahead of a lot of the SOV movies I've seen. Just the production value of mounting your camera on a truck and then like shooting back behind you, to all these cars. Like, that's great production value. It looks good. It looks pretty good. Whereas a lot of shot of videos, it's all internal shots. We're in the living room. Now we're in the kitchen. Now we're in the bathroom, that sort of thing,
We'll definitely spoiling ourselves beginning the podcast with video violence, because it's not going to be this great of a time usually. We're not going to be happy most of the time. Something else this movie definitely has, like, on its good side that makes it so worth watching is the soundtrack. It has like such a great synth score throughout it. I mean, and that's really prominent in the opening credits as we get this vehicle driving through town. It's such a great song. I've been listening to the soundtrack all day actually, because it's on like YouTube Music and Spotify. You can also get the vinyl from I think Bleeding Skull, possibly. I don't know. One of these websites, they sell the vinyl. Actually, let me just find it right now. So if anyone listening wants to get the vinyl, because I know they also had like t-shirts and shit too. Oh, okay. Television. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Television. I have a couple of their soundtracks. They're great.
Yeah, cool. They seem like a great company as well. They want to sponsor us. They seem to focus on the SOV. They do TV. They do SOV releases on both Blu-ray, DVD, and VHS, and they do vinyl and CD releases. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I have the one for Spookies. They did Night Riders, George Romero's Night Riders. They did like Maniac Cop, The Battery. They've done one with Joe Bob Briggs. So yeah, they do a lot of shit.
I actually just bought a Blu-ray from them the other day because they have done a super cool looking, what is it called? Blu-ray release of, I want to get the name right, WNUF Halloween special. So I'm pretty excited to get that release when it arrives.
You've been telling me about that movie, and I've been seeing that movie, and I get, so since you told me about it, like I want to see it, but when it came out, I didn't know what the hell it was. And so I was like, oh, is it just like a local TV broadcast? I had
it's
no
shot
idea
like that, like with fake ads and so forth. It just kind of leans into the vibe of old TV specials. Same kind of like with another movie I hope you can watch with me soon called Ghost Watch, which we might even do as an episode of the podcast, because I'm pretty sure they shot that on tape.
Bleeding Skull has it on their list of is in the top 50 SOV movies.
It's
So
definitely going to be an episode then because Ghost
Oh, yeah.
Watch is awesome. I have the Blu-ray on the way. We can watch it together as best friends. Question. So, I mean, this vehicle we follow in the opening credits, we follow them to the video shop, which is called the Video Studio. We watch someone get out. We don't see who it is. We see them get out and return the videotape and leave. Is this the person who returns the blank VHS?
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah. I
Okay.
think so. That's probably what it was. And just like looking at the video store, like what memories? Like, oh man, like I know that I'm older than you, you fucker. I know
Are you
I'm
okay?
older than you, but
Yeah, but I'm not so young that I don't remember video stores. I definitely visited those a lot when I was a kid.
were they DVDs though by the time that you were in them?
No,
Oh,
one
okay.
of my greatest like movie memories as a kid is my brother and I. We walked across town to Hollywood Video. That was the main one. We had Hollywood Video, we had Blockbuster, and we also had the Family Video. But Hollywood Video had the best spooky selection, at least in my town. So we walked to that and we rented 3 tapes. We rented Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I had never seen. None of these movies I had seen. So we rented that one, Dead Alive, and this movie I'm struggling to remember the title of, but it was about these cartoon creations that come to life and kill people. It was like, I don't know, but
Not bringing
it
it
was
down.
called Till Tunes.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's good or not. I think it had the same type of vibes as like Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Okay.
It's kind of a wacky thing. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
good now. I don't know if I can recommend it, but I loved
Okay.
it when I watched it at like age 9 or 10. So I
Yeah.
watched those 3 movies. They were all on tape, and we watched them all in one day. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind in a few ways. Just like being treated like not like some kid, like being treated as an equal to my brother, because then we met up with one of his friends. We spent the whole day just talking about like cheesy movies, and we watched them. We watched Dead Alive and the cartoon one, and then they fucked off maybe they go get high. I don't know. No one else was home, but late that night, I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre by myself.
Nice.
I vividly remember like that's one of the only movies that has ever disturbed me while watching it, because I just recall watching it and thinking, I'm not supposed to be watching this movie. This movie was made by a deranged human.
It feels dangerous. It
It
feels like a
does.
dangerous fucking movie. What's funny is that in this movie, one of the first customer that walks in is like, "You got that chainsaw movie?" And so I thought, oh, he's gonna walk over and pick up Texas Chainsaw Massacre. No, pieces.
You need to have a follow-up question. I feel like you can't just go and grab pieces. There's too many chainsaw movies.
Yeah, that guy got home because he's probably illiterate the way he asked for the movie. You all got that chainsaw movie? And then he gets home, pops it in, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" I mean, Pieces is a great movie.
It's pretty good.
Pieces, but it's not Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No.
Listen, we all love karate instructors, but we all wish karate instructors could be in every single movie. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre is just on a different level there. But that's one of the things that nostalgia that I got specifically with this movie that I don't, like you're saying, helped this movie and may hurt the other movies, is that this had so much nostalgia with it. Like we would see like pieces just on the shelves, or we would see like posters for April Fool's Day, or there was other posters. I'm trying to remember.
I saw one film, Runaway Train, as well. It was on the
Runaway Train.
Yeah.
At one point, there's a woman looking at movies on the shelf, and we saw like Humanoids from the Deep, Gore Girls, Village of the Damned,
Yeah.
Twilight Zone the movie, He Knows You're Alone, like Brainstorm, like all that sort of shit. You're like, wow, like it's just gold,
I meant to make I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. So I think that's something that helped this movie for me.
I meant to make a list of every like movie I saw like in the background, but I did not. But I also know I saw a poster for To Live and Die in LA, which is a great Friedkin movie if you've never seen it. I have the Blu-ray if you haven't seen it.
I've seen it. It's been a while ago, but I remember.
That's the movie that is about counterfeit money, and Friedkin got so invested in like the research and making it authentic that after the movie was done, he went and just tried spending it and he
Are
faced
you
zero
serious?
consequences because he was a talented white man. But yeah,
Did he get caught, or was he
I
able to?
think he got caught. Either he
Wow.
got caught or he just bragged about it later on. I am not the Friedkin expert. I'm not positive which one it is.
You're not the freaking expert. All right, never mind.
Dude, that would be a
I
great
couldn't make it work.
podcast. Freaking freaks.
Yeah.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
okay,
Let's
so well, yeah, let's get it. So we're introduced to Mr. Emery, who's the owner of the
Steve.
Steve Emery,
Yeah.
right? The owner. And right away, again with the fashion, leather sport coat, balding, but with the ponytail, not really ready to let it go. And I I understand that, man. I get it. I get it. So like I love right away, just like thumbs up for me.
I love the idea of anyone only listening to this thinking that you have a ponytail based off of what you just said.
Pretty soon. I got a little. It's a tiny little.
If you want to see
coming soon.
Miguel's ponytail, go to patreon.com/decayed tapes. So Steve, he has one employee named Rick, according to the IMDb that I'm looking at right now. And I don't know why I laughed. Isn't that funny? I laughed when I said that. No one knows why I laughed. But Rick is new. I guess he grew up in this town, but he got away. And now he's moved back because his dad died. Whereas Steve and his wife, Rachel, who own the video shop, they were completely new in town. They were from New York City. Well, they ran a movie theater. But now I don't know why I said it like that. But they decided to settle down and open a video shop in Frenchtown, New Jersey. I forget what the wife does exactly. Something to do with the government, maybe.
Yeah, she works at the government office, but she was a high-powered attorney, and she left her job in New York for that.
Just this premise alone has like great sitcom potential. I feel like, you settle down to this small town, run a video shop. It could be a great sitcom. Instead, it's video violence.
Yeah, like I think the plot is pretty good. I mean, the story is good. And what's important, what I think you were right there, was that they're from out of town, the only employees from out of town, and they're being treated with the cold shoulder for being out of towners by the townies. And this becomes very important later on in the movie, which I thought was actually a pretty smart turn by them, So I don't know if you want to go
The movie has a decent plot. I mean, it surprised me in the fact that it kind of becomes this like paranoid thriller in a way. It reminded me slightly the same vibes of like the paranoid conspiracy movies of the 70s, like the Parallax View almost, where you like find yourself a little too deep into some hidden truth and now there's no chilling away from it. And that's what happens in this movie. And maybe we should just go ahead and talk about like the grand scheme of everything instead of like going step by step. I mean,
yeah, correct.
So
I mean, like you guys got to understand, we're figuring this out as we go. So you're coming along on the ride with us.
This is what's happening in that Frenchtown, New Jersey, entire town of fucking people who love horror movies. They love slashers. They love gross, goopy movies. But I think what has happened is they've seen all the movies and they want new stuff, right? And they want the real stuff. They want snuff films. They want to see people die. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, and they get this mysterious tape that's returned to them,
Yeah.
right? And then we find out that's how these newcomers know that there's snuff tape, because it was returned to them on accident. And like I've done that before.
Return the snuff tape?
Yeah, definitely. I'm like, can I have my snuff tape back now? No, where I returned the wrong tape to I've done it with DVDs and I've done it with VHS as well. I'm a very old man. And so like this kind of like, I was like, oh yeah, I think this could definitely happen. But
Did you
question to you,
return anything embarrassing?
no, it was just like another movie that I owned or something like that. Nothing crazy. But my question to you is, do you think it was an accident that set off the chain of events that was this movie, or do you think they were always meant to do this? Were they always meant to kind of get these people paranoid and they were just playing with them, and it was like making for good viewership and good movie making and stuff like that?
I have similar questions. I do not understand the motives of these people whatsoever.
Oh, it
So
makes no sense. Yeah.
we will get into that in just a second, because thinking about this, I think we have to go a little bit step by step so we don't confuse anyone who hasn't seen the movie. So they get this movie returned to them by some mysterious person. Rick, the new guy, he keeps saying, "Let's watch it. Let's watch it." It could be like pornography or something. You never know. And so finally they say, "Okay, let's watch it." And it's a snuff film. It's, I believe, the first snuff film of many we see in this movie is of, a man that Rick immediately recognizes as the mailman. Like instantly,
Yeah.
oh, that's the mailman. No, he calls them the postmaster. And I was going to ask, is there a difference?
I don't think there is. Oh, I think the postmaster is the head of the post office.
Why would he recognize him then? It's not like
Exactly.
he's delivering mail.
Exactly. And also he's new in the town. So why did you just say the postman? That's my postman. That's my milkman. It could have been anything, but you chose this bureaucratic official.
Would you recognize your postman or postwoman, excuse me, if you met them like at the grocery store or something?
Absolutely not. And I've had the same postman for at least 3 or 4 years. And we do give him a Christmas bonus every year, or not bonus, but a present. We give him a present. In 1 year, he must have taken the week off or whatever, and so I was like, oh, I got to make sure to be out there when he comes so I can give him his present or something. And he wasn't there, and so it was just some random guy. And I'm not going to give the guy like $100, but like, hey, give this to the guy who's normally here, because that's not going to happen.
No.
And then, but afterwards, I just forgot about it. I was like, too late. I was like, oh, well, you weren't here. I'm sorry. And then since then, it's been a kind of rough terms.
I've never given money to the mailman, little mailwoman. How do you do that?
So, like, for me, I'm lucky where I stay at home. I work at home, I should say. Yeah. And I know when he comes, they come around 4:00 every day. So I just stay out there and hand him.
Do you have like a mailbox? Because I do have a mailbox. So where we live, we have those shitty community boxes. We get to walk down the street. I'm not doing that. I'm not standing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know how you would do it in that scenario, and I don't know if I would feel like I would need to, because they get a bunch of people in one time, whereas my guy, they have to go to each individual house.
Yeah,
you know? And he's like really respectful with like boxes and stuff like that. So regardless, he earns it. But since then, like, we used to be like, hey, how's it going? And since then, it's like, nah, just like, hi, sort of thing. But I also do it for the garbage men and the recycle people as well. And those guys, you know how you take the garbage? Well, we had to take the garbage to the curb.
Yeah.
If you tip them around Christmas time, they will bring the bin
trash can back
to the side of the house.
Wow.
Which I think is worth it. It's like completely, but they only do it for like 3 or 4 months, and they're like, okay, we've worked off the tip or whatever, but still worth it.
I have never tipped anyone who services my house, I guess. Maybe I should. I don't have any money though. I would though. I would if you went to patreon.com/Decayed Tapes. Now, speaking of mailboxes, and for anyone listening, like, talk about the movie, you bastards. We do talk about the movie, but I mean, to make this a little more unique, we're going to begin talking about life experiences as well. It's just the way conversations go. If you got out of the house once in a while and talk to somebody, you would know this is how it goes. Already insulting the possible audience.
Give us your money, you bastards.
Mailboxes. When I was a kid and trying to make movies with my little shitty digital camera, I spent a huge amount of time daydreaming about this one shot I wanted to accomplish. And that was simply to put a mailbox to put my camera in the mailbox with the lens facing out and have someone open it, grab the mail, and close it. I thought, now that is a creative shot. But whenever I tried to do it, it just didn't work out like how I imagined. Such is the
I've
way.
seen that shot. I've seen that shot.
They
I
stole
can't
it from
remember.
me.
I think so. I've seen it where like they have the thing and then they reach in to get the mail, and when they do that, they're also pulling the camera out as well.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Fuck.
well,
That's
yeah.
why I didn't make it as a cameraman. I should also mention, Miguel, I haven't told you this, but I've already failed multiple times filming this recording, but I decided previously and today I'm going to try not to use so much profanity. So if you hear me curse at all, please just call me out on it. I'm sure. I was talking to my stepson earlier, and he was like, "You curse a lot," and I was like, "Do I?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, I'm going to try not to do it so much." So we'll see.
Also, if we control the swearing a bit, we could be monetized on YouTube.
That would
Because
be.
I think you can't be monetized on YouTube if there's a lot of swearing.
You can be he could be a Nazi on YouTube. He just can't say fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with trying to minimize the swearing.
No, you can spill as much as you want.
Well,
I'm
then
just trying
I'll be the reason why we're not monetized on YouTube.
all the more reason to monetize us on patreon.com/decayed tapes.
I know we've only had one episode, but please, we're gonna trust us. Just trust us, man. We're gonna do good by you.
This is already going swell. We will 90 minutes into this recording. We will
go
in
ahead.
day one of a movie that acts like The Shining with the way it's set up.
I have a question for you though. I saw prologue, movie happens, and then day 2. I didn't see it day 1. Was there a day one?
We get day one.
Okay.
I have it noted. Every time I saw a new day, I wrote it down. And we went to day 5. Those 5 days in this movie.
It just didn't seem necessary, but
No, it does not.
Okay.
What came first, this movie or The Shining? The Shining, right?
Shining.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought maybe Kubrick copied.
You think that's what they're going for, is a Kubrick style?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like we understand passage of time. We understand that one day happens and the next day happens. So I don't think we necessarily needed the day one, but whatever.
So one of the big topics of conversation before we see this videotape is how busy the video shop is. The guy who owns it, Steve, is just flabbergasted that everyone in this town owns a VCR set. He's like, I have 50 tapes already in the drop slot refilmed from last night. I have the entire town's population as a member in my video shop. And he doesn't believe it because there's no cable in Frenchtown. Satellite dishes will not allowed for some reason. And he seems angry that his video shop is so successful, and he's mad that everyone who comes in only wants like a slasher movie.
I was looking up because you're saying that he was surprised by everybody having a VCR. It's because they were pretty expensive back then. And so I looked it up right now. The average cost of a VCR was like $470.
That's like a fucking PlayStation 5.
Which so in 1980.
Oh yeah, at least 1,000. It converts to what?
$1,400. It's like almost $1,500. So that I would understand like being surprised about like people having VCRs.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't those shops also allow you to rent a VCR as well?
I don't
so.
mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it, but I don't know. This was like in the late 80s, early 90s when they started to come down in price,
Yeah.
But, or whatever. But yeah, they would even let you rent like the Nintendo 64s and the PlayStations and all that sort of stuff. That was cool.
Yeah, I remember like renting a GameCube quite a bit.
Yeah.
Age difference.
So the actual snuff film that we watch is of that postmaster, and this is what I was talking about, the
hand.
The hand, right? So like they lift the guy's hand up off of just out of view of the camera, out of the lens of the camera, and then they chop off the hand and it comes falling off. Like, it's gold. I love it. That's like low budget filmmaking there. They don't have the money to make it seem realistic or chop, so they just take it out of screen and then chop it off there.
And
Just
after
great.
the hand falls, we cut to the Steve and Rick's face, like reacting to it. Then when we cut back to the snuff film, the dismembered elm is just drenched in blood suddenly, when a second ago no blood could be seen whatsoever. It's
Yeah.
just awesome to see the mindset. Like, to watch something and go, I know exactly what they were thinking, and I
Yeah.
love it.
And they also have the machete. Did you see the machete and how they worked that?
Remind me.
So they have a machete. He's like, oh yeah, I want to use my machete. And then he takes it he's about to go to the guy's neck. They cut away. And then they replaced the machete with one that, like those old magician arrow through the head magician things where it's just round out.
Yeah.
So the machete's just cut out with the round thing. They put it in the person's neck to make it seem like it's gone through, but it hasn't. It's just there's a cutout for your neck. So that's what they do. There's the cutout, and then they cut back, and then there's blood all over it. So it makes it seem like they're sawing through the person's neck with the machete.
Which would be a crime, by the way.
Which would be illegal. Do not try this at home.
But yeah, he recognized Rick immediately. That's the postman. Despite just coming back to town to grieve over his dead dad. I'm jumping slightly ahead, but later Steve is talking about Rick to his wife. And she's like, well, you can't trust that guy. I mean, I told you you couldn't trust him. What with his dad dying and all, he seems like a loose cannon. Like, there's a lot of judgment in this town with Rick just because his dad has died. It feels
and
unnecessary.
He's taking care of his mom. He's taking care of his mom. Like, why are you not judging this guy? He's obviously of good character.
They all think he's a piece of shit. And I think
he's got a job and he's taking care of his mom. Fucking hell no.
So the plan is, which honestly sucks, like writing wise, but it's convenient for the plot, is Steve is going to go to the police station. Rick is going to stay at the video store, watching over this snuff film. They will lock the video store so no one can come in. Why they don't take the film with them and both go, or why they don't just call the cops, because then we wouldn't have video violence. So Steve goes to this police station, and there's a great scene where he goes into the cop who's like in the main lobby, and he's like, I need to speak to the chief of police. And the guy, the lobby cop, is like, well, maybe I can help you. And he says, no, I think I should talk to the chief. And immediately the lobby cop has such an attitude, like he's filled his feelings. Like, oh, well, fuck me, I guess, you know? He just seems like he's so like bummed out to just be treated like he's not helpful. I loved it. Good acting from this cop.
Yeah, but I just wanted to reiterate ACAB, even fictional ACAB. But yeah, and then he goes to the cop and he's talking to the sheriff, and he's for the people who aren't on the Patreon, Max is trying to go off camera and blow his nose, but the background was coming in and out. Yeah. So I just see like little sneak peeks of Max looking like a goblin.
Much like a raccoon who might be eating a burrito of the like, trash can at 1 a.m., you might say.
Exactly. But he goes to the police, and the police obviously don't believe him, and they say that, hey, you know, I have this video of the postmaster getting killed. Come watch it. He's like, no, we're not doing that. And then he what does he say? Like, the postmaster, I drove him to the airport.
I drove him to the airport, and look at what I have conveniently tacked on my wall, a postcard from Florida. And we have to talk a little bit about this cop, because he's, yes, a cop, but this cop is awesome, the chief of police. He's definitely like supposed to be a Texas stereotype in Frenchtown, New Jersey, for some reason. But he also gives me big Stephen King vibes, but I can't quite place why. He just feels like a kid from a Stephen King book.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah. Like just like the corrupt small town cop who you kind of don't trust immediately and you don't know why, then very shortly after you understand why.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got that vibe as well. But he convinces him, right, to come back to the store with him eventually. And so they drive over there, and then he locked the door on his way out to the store, and when he comes back, the door's open.
Mm-hmm.
So we know some shit went down.
And Rick is gone, and the tape has been replaced with just like a home video of some kids dancing, I guess. What was
Which is
on the
creepy
tape?
also. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it was
oh, you muted yourself.
it was creepy.
Yeah.
I muted myself as I was talking. I don't know why.
I don't know how you did it, but it's good.
I thought I would be finished speaking by the time I clicked the button, but I was wrong.
Yeah. So Rick's gone. He shows that video. It is pretty creepy. The sheriff was like, "Oh, this is basically bullshit. I should run you in on charges or whatever."
He suggests that Rick, this no good criminal because his dad's dead, is pulling a prank on him. And he says, "My suggestion is to lay off the monster movies and watch some little kitty movies." And either way, I don't know what that means, but it sounds disturbing.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is the town of people watching monster movies. Why is he suggesting that? Everyone loves these movies. What do you mean lay off the monster movies? You fucking idiot. Oh, see, there I go again. My stepson was correct. I want to talk about that night, day one, of Steve eating dinner with his wife and playing with his food like a child.
Well, that's what my note is. The Salisbury steak looks crazy. It looks unappetizing. Like it brought me back to, I don't know, the last time I had Salisbury steak. I think it was like school lunch or something.
What the fuck is Salisbury? Yeah, steak? What is it?
What is it?
Is that what that Faith No Mill song is about? What is it?
That's a good one. That's a joke. I know that song now. To find out what is Salisbury steak, tune into our Patreon, and we will have a definition.
I'm looking it up now.
Oh, fine. We're going to give you a little taste of the Patreon.
A little take of Salisbury steak. It's a blend of ground beef and other ingredients.
Yeah, what's the other?
What does that mean? It's a cross between meatloaf and hamburger. It's made from seasoned ground beef patties with a simple mushroom and onion gravy. All right.
You didn't know you'd be getting recipes while you listen to this.
Yeah, I don't think I've had that since I was in school either. That's like a standard lunch school option. You don't just make that at home as a grown-up.
What kind of maniac is making Salisbury steak at home? That is ridiculous. That's a red flag right there.
Yeah, if you ladies, all the ladies listening, if a man invites you to his house to eat some Salisbury steak, run away and subscribe 100%. To Decayed Tapes on Patreon.
So then we get day 2, and this is where we're in the video store, and the lady is holding that baby.
Before we get to that, I would like to talk about something that happens before then. The scene we get right after it says day 2 is a shot of a woman and a dog walking through a parking lot, and this dog is a great actor. I think the dog walks straight up to the camera and looks down, and it's really obvious. Well, it wasn't obvious at first to me, but then it clicked. They've put like a treat right beneath the camera because he is just going to town and whatever was still. And then we cut to a trash bag in an alley of someone's hand poking out of a trash bag.
That's true. That you're right. That was a great scene. That was a great shot, I should say.
Yeah.
Because the dog went right up to the camera and sniffed it. It was like, oh, that's a good boy. He did a good job. They did a good job. Yeah.
I like dogs.
I like dogs too. Yeah. Let's just do a podcast on dogs.
I would love to. I almost did once.
Really?
Yeah. The premise would be I would have people who all creative, like Reynolds and stuff. They come on, but we just talk about the dog, and that's it. Funny
that
anecdote.
Sounds amazing.
I think so too.
I would subscribe to your Patreon just for that bonus content.
Coming soon to the Ghoulish Podcast Network. Dog Tales. Spelled TAILS.
Beautiful. It's just dogs, though. You don't like cats. You don't want to hear about people's cats.
I don't think cats are that interesting. They don't have much of a personality to me. They just seem grumpy and lazy.
I understand completely. I'm a dog person as well. That's spoken like a true dog person, but I've heard people talk about their cats and like their cats having personalities and all. All I'm saying is you don't want to limit your scope. Some authors have cats.
It would be interesting to see, like, I mean, obviously, once this episode drops, thousands of downloads. This is going to be huge. SOV, Hulu movie niche audience. Those listeners, are they mill dog people or mill cat people? Please go to patreon.com/decayed tapes. We will do a survey post that you can only see if you subscribe, and comment if you like dogs or cats, Mule.
You know what's funny? On the off chance that some maniac goes on to do that, there's not going to be a question there on there.
And then
but it's nice to believe that it could be.
The exit survey is no dog cat conversation.
Came for the dog cat content, was disappointed. So the lady's holding the baby like nothing, like a football. I was really worried about that baby. And then so this is where that scene that you were talking about in the intro, where she goes up and she takes a movie up to the counter and asks what's the rating on it. He says it's rated R. And she asks if it's for nudity. He's like, no, it's for violence. And she's like, oh, great, so the kids can watch it. And it's Blood Cult. Blood Cult was another shot on video movie, which I have not seen. Have you seen that one?
I have not. I don't know what it's about. Do you?
No, I don't know at all. Yeah. Well, maybe it could be one of the ones. I'm sure we'll definitely cover it one day.
Depending on
if people sign up for the Patreon.
I think we've all done the Patreon joke now.
Okay. When I say it,
no, I paused because I was about to, and I realized, okay, maybe I'm doing it too much.
Okay, there.
You can do as much as you want.
I've been chastised, so I'm not going to swear, and I won't bring up the Patreon anymore. The two things I've been chastised about already. Okay.
The only two things you can do.
And then so this is where we first are introduced to the Eli show.
Basement Tapes, baby.
Basement Tapes.
Which also would be a good name for a podcast.
Yeah. We might change the name of this podcast. No, the artwork has already been made.
You can't do a podcast in Texas called Basement Tapes. We don't have basements.
True.
I mean, so that's what I've been told. I have never seen a basement since moving to Texas. Have you?
No, but I haven't necessarily been looking for them. Are you looking for a basement? Are you just like...
What I understand, at least in the section of Texas we live, the soil is too hurled and too rough to have basements, and the foundations will not stable enough to support such a thing.
Okay,
that's in my research. That's what I've discovered.
In your many hours of research, do your own research, sheeple.
I have looked into this.
Have we finished with the basement section of the podcast?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Please talk about the snuff film.
We were introduced to the Eli show, and the main, who we think at least I thought was the main killer, Eli, and they have this woman tied up, and they're torturing her, and it's getting really sexual, and it turns out it feels like a kink film or something like that, and it's like, I was like, oh, I want this to kind of end. I wasn't really enjoying this part very much.
I have a quote I wrote down that he says when it's a woman who was hitchhiking that they picked up in drugs, and when she finally comes to in the basement, he has a great line, I think, that he says mostly to the tape, to the camera. He goes, "We're going to tilt you and kill you on network television," and that is a great line.
And that's a pretty good line, but come to find out, are they actually broadcasting it? Because at one point, it's just videotapes. Because at one point, a man comes home and like sits down on his couch, is eating his dinner, and just turns on the TV, and there's already a snuff film playing.
It was my understanding that he came home with the tape. Like he rented it, not from the video store, but from... At this point, somehow those tapes were being distributed around town. I just assumed he came home with the latest tape that he got.
Okay. Yeah, because at one point, somebody, and I won't say who yet, but somebody says, do you know how like people with the invention of like the video camera or camcorder, they were making and trading pornography. Well, it's the same
Yeah.
thing, but with snuff films. So I'm assuming that's okay. I thought perhaps they were also broadcasting on like local TV or something like that, which would be kind of fucking crazy.
Which is the plot of the second movie I read. The second movie, they have a
Okay.
local channel. I want to see it. I guess it's more of a comedy. It leans more into the comedic aspect of it. It's supposed to be pretty good. Maybe we'll do that soon.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
But I agree with what you were saying. The sexual aspect of this scene is made me a little uncomfortable, especially for like the message, the glee they were taking into the scene. It is shot like a comedy almost, with him like cutting the woman's t-shirt open and fucking around with little breasts. Pretty disturbing.
Well, it made me feel like shoot, what's that movie? Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Henry.
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, right? It felt very much like that, where if you don't know it, it's kind of almost very similar, where he's making his own snuff films, but it's very dark and dirty and gritty and uncomfy. And so I was like, oh, kind of getting flashbacks to that.
It's the type of movie that makes you feel like an accessory to it, right?
100%. Yeah.
I hate the cameraman, by the way. The guy, I don't know what his name is. Eli is like henchman, like his sidekick. The way he is laughing this whole time that he is fucking with this woman was driving me insane. It's not a good laugh. It was really annoying, and I almost stopped watching the movie.
I completely I agree. Like it's not even like a human, like it's so obviously fake. It was annoying.
Yeah. At one point, they carved Eli's name into his chest, and they cut away and come back to it, and it's like he's done it in 2 seconds. I feel like I've never carved a name into someone else's flesh, but I think it would take a while.
Well, he's Zorro, basically. He's Zorro with the straight razor.
Yeah, and I like how he kills her, though. He dots the eye with an ice pick into her hilt.
Well, so, but we were actually involved in the making of a snuff film, you and I, Max, when a month or two ago, when you were on my podcast, you cut yourself open with a knife and were bleeding on camera profusely.
Yeah, for those watching right now, I have the knife in front of me. I always have it on my desk because I have no use for it. But yeah, I was on your podcast, My Hurl Confessional, now a member of the Ghoulish Podcast Network. And you said you will go, much like when I fell in the creek, you said you were going to cut yourself with that. And I said, no, I'm not. And then I cut myself and I bled throughout the podcast because I refused to wash it out and get a Band-Aid.
And then I continued to use that as jack-off material.
Is that your only experience with a snuff film?
Yes, that's my only experience. Do you have more experience?
No, I don't.
Isn't there's like a Nicolas Cage movie, like 8mm or something like that, that was about snuff films? That was the first time I even found out what the hell it was. And I was like, holy shit, the world is a lot worse than I thought it was.
It's even real now, like with, like the Dark Web and Trilantine, so many fucked up videos make it all around the planet now, just like that. Yeah. I mean, I was just reading about one the other day, and I'm not even going to say the title of it because I don't want anyone to Google it, but man, it's depressing. It's really sad.
Well, I feel even like during when they were the war in Iraq, when they were like torturing all these Iraqis and like in Camp Abu Ghraib, right? I'm sorry, I don't mean to get it political, but like they found out that these soldiers were torturing these prisoners, right? Yeah. And there was videos of that, and those videos made it online, and like, and then like the videos of like beheading, stuff like that, like people look that up, and I know I feel bad because I used to watch like bum fights, or
me too.
That's what it was called. Like forget it, but that's what they were called.
They will call unhoused fights.
Yeah. And like I would buy these DVDs and watch them with my friends while we were drinking and laugh. And like now that I think about it, it's so fucking terrible. But like
people grow and evolve.
Yeah, but that sort of shit is on the internet now, and I mean it's been out for a while. But like that's like versions of snuff films,
I grew up. I mean, I was practically raised on those types of shock videos on the internet, like Goatsy. Well, that was just a photo, if I recall, but like the video of the guy taking a glass drill and shoving it up his anus and it explodes, and then you see it all. It's fucking crazy. But like the beheading videos, which were much more severe. And I recall one that I saw that was floating around a lot of just like drone footage of just like attacking these people on like these infrared cameras in the desert. And of course, like the Budswile video I saw at a very young age. Are you familiar with that? The politician from Pennsylvania, Budswile.
You have talked about that.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with it because of you. And it maybe perhaps I heard, but I've never seen the video. I haven't searched it out or anything like that. But
So
it sounds fucking terrible.
What happened? Are you familiar with what happens in it?
Well, why don't you just tell the audience?
He was I might get some of this wrong, but he was a politician in Pennsylvania, and he was getting arrested, or he was in the process of going through some legal trouble with, I think, accepting bribes, maybe, or doing something with fraud. And he was supposed to go and like announce himself like stepping down on live TV, and instead he says he's innocent, he's being framed, and he says like, please don't watch this, this is going to disturb you, and he pulls out a gun and shoots himself on live TV. And this was like in the middle of the day, like on a Wednesday or some shit. People just saw this, and it's pretty disturbing. It was a lot of people say it's on a movie called Faces of Death, which is a video collection of graphic deaths and violence. But the thing with Faces of Death is most of the scenes in Faces of Death is fake, is staged. But there was a spin-off movie made by someone else called Traces of Death, and that was all genuine shit. And that was the video that had the Budswile suicide on, which I saw because I asked my mom if I could rent it at Hollywood Video, and she said sure. And I was like 8 or 9, and I watched it alone, and I was fucking disturbed for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I've obviously seen I saw like 1, 2, and 3 of Faces of Death. I never saw the Traces of Death. I'm kind of happy I didn't, to be honest. Like, I don't know if I would be able to mentally take that right now.
I remember watching it at such a young age. It was late at night by myself and just like sobbing. I was like, I should not be watching this. This is damaged me in ways I will be thinking about decades from now on a podcast. Anyway, right. Video violence. Okay, so that I think we covered the snuff film we see, the basement tape. Meanwhile, Steve does some investigating into what happened to Rick. He calls Rick's mom. The mom is no help at all. She's like, he left. He went to Boston. I'm cooking soup on the stove. Leave me alone. I now realize I think the mom is in on all this, and she probably helped just kill Rick. Is that? I mean, everyone
I don't
in
understand
town.
it.
What is?
Because how does she know that he went to Boston? Other than maybe him leaving a note, but she doesn't mention the note. So, yeah, I think she might be in on it as well.
And that brings up the question: was the dad like killed because he didn't want to be involved, and that's why they're like, oh yeah, that kid's pussy of a dad, we had to kill him,
and that's why they were upset with him. That's why they think he's a menace, because the dad was a menace as well. Yeah. So what we find out is that essentially the whole town is in on this snuff making industry. That's like Hollywood of the East Coast for snuff films, and so you're all in on it. It's like a criminal enterprise. Once you're in, you can't get out. If you get out, you're going to rat on somebody. And so if somebody wants to leave, they kill that person, and they use that for snuff film material.
Really much like the Wickle Man, if you think about it.
Yeah. the Nicolas Cage one, right?
I mean, if you say so.
So then
we get a new
back at
tape.
the video store. Yeah. And the lady's kind of in the lobby, whatever. And when she drops off of some movies on the counter, and one of those movies is a new tape, and he calls his wife and says, "I got a new tape," and he watches it, and or no, does he? Yeah, he watches it. Do you remember?
He watches it.
Yeah.
It's of Eli, and I can't remember the sidekick's name, the cameraman.
Yeah,
It's them going to the video shop. Eli he
right.
has his own key, lets himself in, and they fuck around with Rick a little bit and kind of teasing him, and then they kill Rick. And I have to say, really disappointed with this kill scene.
Yeah, because they don't really show. They just like lifts him up.
He lifts him up and strangles him to death and drops him. For a movie
Yes.
that's embracing like these DIY practical effects, kind of lazy, I thought.
Yeah, I agree to that. I agree. And also never mentioned how he has the key to the store, but he just walks in with the key. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
That did make sense to me because this whole town seems to be in on it. I'm sure like the local locksmith is like, yeah, I have an extra key to any place in this town, man. You'll
Yeah.
the sales of the only entertainment anybody has. How did Eli get this gig? I don't know, and I desperately want to know, but we don't find out.
So he's like, okay, this time I'm taking the fucking videotape with me. So he takes the video and takes it over to the police station, and again goes in and asks the guy, the secretary cop, if he can see the sheriff. And what happens here?
You tell me.
Remember?
No.
Oh no, I thought the guy gives him attitude again. He's like,
okay.
And so he lets him in, and
he goes, "Do you have a VCR?" to the cop.
Right.
And
the cop's like,
says,
"Oh yeah."
He says, "Of course we do. We videotape the drunk drivers," which leaves me to believe they have a whole collection of videotapes of just fucking around with drunk drivers at the station.
And probably some of them die, and probably some of them were like killed.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Drunk drivers, fuck them. And then, so he's an old dude, the sheriff is, and then Mr. Emery was like, "Why don't you let me do it?" He's like, no, I fucking got this, you young whippersnapper, I can do it. And he can't even put the tape in correctly. Although I know now that he was just fronting, like he definitely knew what to do. But he puts it in, and then he presses what we think is play, and nothing's going on the screen. And then what's funny is the camera is behind them, and so we just see the screen, the TV screen, and then Mr. Emery is literally blocking like 2/3 of the TV screen that we should be seeing as audience members. It's like, yeah, do you not think of shot composition or what's going on here? And then so what we kind of find out is Mr. Emery's like, well, maybe I didn't rewind it. So he goes to try to rewind it. He sees, oh no, you've been fucking recording over it instead. And so the sheriff's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's very apologetic. Oh, I'm so sorry. But you know that he did that shit on purpose.
I mean, it's pretty clear at that point, even if you haven't seen the movie, that he is corrupt as hell. I think it's clear from the first scene we see of him with, oh, but I have this postcard, that he is in on this shit from the get-go. He does have a great line, though, that could be like a tagline for even this podcast, is when he's acting like they're waiting on the video to begin, he goes, "Bill's the blood and guts, huh?" I thought that was pretty good line.
That's pretty good.
Blood and guts. Yeah.
And then so I think that pretty much ends that scene, and then we get day 3.
No, that night we get a pretty lengthy scene that doesn't need to exist of him and his wife Rachel, just kind of recapping what's happened in the movie. They talked for a while, and I did make a note that his wife uses the word preoccupation a lot in this movie. Like, for an example, this town has a preoccupation with dripping guts. Replace dripping guts with various other things that can mean around the same thing. She says it a lot in this movie. Take a shot every time she says it. You will have a good time. You won't die, but you'll have a good time.
Also, I started to feel a bit judged, but I know it's more tongue in cheek at us because they keep saying like these guys, all they do is love blood and guts and horror and violence. And it's like him echoing it back to us,
Yeah.
like what we're looking, what we like,
These
kind
idiots,
of
these children, they're gonna buy
assholes.
this. They're gonna buy this movie, and I'm making fun of them. They don't give a shit,
They're gonna eat this shit up.
and we
Okay.
do.
And then so now does day 3 happen?
Day 3 begins at this deli, Billy Tarantino-esque, if I say so. Just day 3. Now we have a whole new cast of Tarantino's coming in. Billy, prestigious, I think.
Yeah, and I actually thought so. This is like Jeep Wrangler shows up, and there's one woman. No, I'm sorry, 2 men and 1 man, 2 women, and
What?
they go in. 2 of them go into the shop. 1 woman stays in the car,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh, is the guy in on it? Because as soon as he walks in, he's like giving weird looks to everybody. I was like, oh, so he must be in on it. He must have picked them up because he was driving. But we come to find out very quickly, no, he's also going to be a victim, and they're lost and they ask for directions.
Well,
And
not
the owner,
lost. Well, they lost.
or they're well, I guess they ask
in
for directions.
town. So in town to go tubing is what they say.
Okay, but they need directions somewhere because they ask for directions.
Yes, that's true. Sorry to correct you when you will not be wrong.
No,
I
and then
apologize.
so they ask for direction, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, I can help you, but first have some of this fresh lemonade I just made."
It's pretty funny.
No, thank you, sir. I'm okay. Keep your lemonade to yourself. I don't know. Were you drinking that lemonade?
No, I am not drinking the lemonade, especially when he says, I can help you, but first, well, you must try this fresh lemonade I have in the back of my deli. It was a great line that I wrote down. I didn't even need to write it down because I wouldn't have forgotten. They drink they fucking slug these glasses of lemonade, big glasses too. A second passes, the woman goes, "Shit, we've been poisoned," and they fall down. Really
Amazing.
funny.
Love it. Love that.
Before that happens, though, as they were just browsing, they go to the magazine section, and just like the video shop, great selection of magazines. I'm seeing like all types of like old Easy Hool comics and stuff like that. Really cool to see.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I thought they were gonna do like a nudie mag sort of thing, but I didn't see any of that.
And this was where I had my note of, at least the 2 old men who run the deli away from the prologue, but I guess that doesn't make total sense with the way which is when like videotapes were invented. Although we don't know if videotapes were even a thing in the prologue. They just have a camera, right?
That's true. That's true.
This is why I think they might be from the prologue. And my theory is this all began with these 2 creeps just filming people in a dressing room, right? And then those tapes got out around town. Instead of getting arrested, they were praised. And that led to this whole like blockbuster fucking business of snuff films that they then got too old to do by themselves. So they got like recruits. They got Eli in on the business. But I don't know. That's what I was thinking, how this all began.
Are you writing lore for video violence?
I am.
That's nice. That's good.
Thank you. And what's going on outside as this is happening?
Yeah, so he goes. There's a deputy. He goes in front of the deli to make sure nobody can go in. So automatically that the law enforcement is in on it. Then this waitress walks up to the car and asks, "Are you lost?" And she's got this really weird, like shit-eating grin on her face, really creepy. And so does the deputy. And so she's basically just distracting her with enough time so that we see Eli coming, and he's got like a whole outfit on. And this is a bit creepy. He's like, I think it's the ice pick, and he's like fast walking across the street. And that was like a bit creepy to see. He opens up the door, gets into the Jeep, and just, we don't see it. We see the aftermath of it, but literally he just sticks the ice pick in her neck and she's dead. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I was kind of thankful for that. Like, we don't have to go through another like sex kink scene, so that was good.
It's a little something I love about Daylight Hurl, and what you're
Yes.
saying is exactly that, because usually like a Hurl movie will wait and have this stuff happen at night, but when it happens in the daytime, it really seems like nothing is sacred and anything can happen at any time. And this fucking Eli guy is like the fucking town citizen or something. Like he has the key to the city. He just goes around town killing people and filming it, and everyone loves it. It's like living in fucking LA and sometimes like getting stopped in traffic because a movie is being filmed. But this is a small town, and sometimes you have to stop because a snuff film's happening in front of the deli. I love it so much. Also, speaking of Eli, we have to mention every time we see him, he has a different hat on, and every hat is fucking crazy looking to me. Did you notice this?
I did notice the hat thing.
Yeah. Every hat is like usually is some type of one of those like fishing hats that like kind of sag down over the eyes, but it's always a different one.
Okay.
It's really funny.
I wonder if like he was responsible for his own wardrobe and just kept bringing the wrong ones or whatever. Something else it reminded me of was like, have you seen The Running Man?
I have.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger. It reminded me of like Damon Killian, who's played by Richard Dawson, in that movie where he's the game show host and he's responsible for all these people being killed, but he's a huge celebrity and everybody loves him. So like, I feel like that's what Eli is in this town, like this huge celebrity that everybody loves.
Have you read the book?
Yes, I read the book.
Do you know how it ends? Remember how it ends?
I don't fucking remember how it ends. No, you want to do a spoiler alert?
Yeah, spoiler for The Running Man by Richard Bachman. He takes over a plane and crashes it into the Twin Towers.
Oh, fuck. I think Stephen King is going to be getting a
Richard
visit
Bachman,
from the
please.
A visit from the FBI person.
I wonder if he has.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
I mean, I know like writers who have gotten visits from the FBI because of like things they've Googled or like things they've written. Like Jeremy Robert Johnson famously had that happen to him because of a reason I can't recall now, but it might have been due to something he was researching for a book. So it does happen.
I'm so paranoid about when I do like Google searches. I'm like, is this the one that's going to get me arrested?
What's the most recent one?
I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I take it back. But then, we're in this deli and we get some pretty cool kills.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about them?
I have a few quotes, but I forget exactly how it all happens. The main quote I have is "Soup's on." Do you want to give me some context for that?
Yes. So, for the girl, they or I don't remember if it's the girl or the guy, but anyway, they end up they have those electric slicers for like cutting meat and slices of meat or whatever, and they slice their head off, which looks cool. It falls, pretty good practical effects, and then they take that head and drop it into the pot of boiling water, and they say, "Soup's on."
Yeah. And they also take like a limb and cut up in the same thing you were talking about, like lunch meat almost. It's pretty cool. Which makes me,
deli slicer. Yeah.
I didn't think about this while watching, but I am now. On top of being a town of homemade snuff films, which is, I guess, redundant, which is snuff film. Are they also cannibals? Are they eating these people?
Oh shit! Didn't even think about that.
Why else boil a head? There's no. What are they doing with this head and this lunch meat hand?
Yeah. What's funny though is when they're slicing that arm, it's like, again, practical effects. You know what they do. There's a fake arm, and the way the camera is, it's from below, so you're not actually seeing the arm making contact, but you're seeing it get slower and slower on these slices being cut off. So you know that they just put a piece of ham or bologna on the bottom of this head and are just slicing it, because there's bones in a hand. So, but when the slices is coming off, it just looks like lunch meat. So it's like, it's fucking hilarious, the thought process behind that. But that's just part of the goal, behind this,
I mean, it's a great idea, the way to do that. I mean, it's fucking genius how they did it.
Yeah, and it's very it contributes to like the Looney Tunes factor of it, of the violence of it, right? Or the itchy and scratchy. Actually, that's something Itchy and Scratchy would do. 100%.
They would, and then they would make a sandwich out of it.
and then he would feed it. He would make a sandwich out of, who's the cat? Itchy? I don't know. The Scratchy would feed it to Itchy, is how that would end.
After that, we get the scene we were talking about. Some guy in town watching a movie at home.
Yeah.
I think it's just an excuse to get another clip of a snuff film. I can't even remember what the clip is. Do you?
No, I don't recall.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The only thing of note is I have a quote after the videos. Well, the whole time he's watching it, he's like commenting on it like it's a spilling event. Like, yeah, do it, get it, do it. And then at the end, he goes, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, so they're really into this shit.
The next we go, it's still the same day. See, they fucked up by separating these into days, because they do that deli scene. Then we get the scene of the guy at home, and it's obviously at night. But then before we go to the next day, suddenly it's daytime again, and the wife, Rachel, goes to the deli. And it's, what's going on here? It's bad editing, and it's really cheaply made movie. She goes to the deli, and I forget what she wants exactly, but she leaves little giant pills on the front counter unattended, and someone plants a VHS in the pills that she finds later on.
Well, this is the craziest thing. She asks for sliced American cheese and sliced bologna.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, I've never heard of a block of American cheese. That's crazy. I mean, like, there's government cheese, I know that, but like buying not pre-sliced American cheese at a deli is wild to me.
She gets the two meats and cheeses that you don't get at a deli.
Yeah.
Bologna as well. Who goes to a deli for fucking bologna?
No, I need that fresh bologna. But so then he gets the bologna and starts slicing it with the same slicer that they used to slice the hand, and that was pretty good. I like that part of it. But yeah, she notices the video, the tape in her bag, and there's obviously, we saw the guy plant it, and so she didn't see who it was, and so she ends up leaving. Then she goes home and talks to her husband. Right, nothing else happens up until that point, right? And then they pop the video in to watch it.
They go in and watch. It's a Little Zach production. It has great production. This one. It's called "The Vampire Takes a Bride," and I really like this movie. It is shot really well. It's shot way better than Video Violence is.
You didn't have any problem with the with the amount of slow-mo that they had going on there?
It's a vibe, and they did it well. I do love that this movie, inside the movie, also has a synth soundtrack to it.
Yeah,
really good. Cool. Synth, is that how you say it?
Yeah, synth.
It's not synth. No, that would be stupid. No, it is synth. I don't go around saying synth.
You also don't go around saying it's a vibe. So you caught me a bit off guard.
I talk about vibes a lot. Get with the program, buddy. So do you want to walk through the plot of The Vampire Takes a Bride?
Go right ahead.
Go feel it.
Oh, there's literally no plot.
No, it's not. It's just shot cool. I like the slow-mo of it, and I like the face of the vampire. It was kind of cool. We see some slow dancing. This vampire is sucking on this naked woman's neck for a while, and then he stabs her. And that's the end.
Well, did you recognize her right away? Because I know they mentioned who she is later, but did you recognize her?
No, isn't she supposed to be the mom who got blood cult?
Yeah, the lady who got blood cult. That's her. But what I don't understand is that's what it was. She had visions of going to Hollywood and becoming an actress, so that means that she was going to be leaving, which they couldn't have. So they ended up killing her, and that's the tape. So they made it seem like almost like it could be a snuff film, or it could just be a professionally made movie, or a professionally made scene of a movie, right? Because it's 2-3 minutes long, right?
Well, it doesn't even end. He shuts it off. Why don't they finish it to see, like, do they have credits at the end? What is going on? But he just shuts it off because he's so outraged. Because Steve has many criticisms of this movie that I found fucking hilarious. He says it cannot possibly be a vampire movie, a Hollywood movie, because I have my notes right here. It takes place in the daylight, and vampires can't be in the daylight. And also, we can see his reflection. They'll feel it must be a snuff film, as if no movie has ever existed that didn't have those rules broken. His
Yeah,
logic is great.
or like even like Nosferatu, the original like silent film, there's a part in there where you can see there was a mistake, obviously, but you can see the reflection of Max Schreck as Nosferatu in one of the mirrors.
That's because
It's
Nosferatu is a snuff film.
bro, that's the premise of Shadow the Vampire.
I still need to see that.
Great. Wait, but I did a episode on it like 3 weeks ago.
I
Don't you
haven't
like?
listened yet because I need to watch it. Then I'll listen.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, my horror confessional. But but yeah, so then the wife is like, well, we need to figure out what's happening. We also didn't talk about the fact that she tried before. She was trying to see the postmaster, like if he really had left or whatever. So she calls him under the guise of like some paperwork. She needs to fix some paperwork, and so
Yeah,
she asks
something to do with
Social Security
unemployment,
number.
I think.
Yeah. So she asks for a social security number, and the person gives it to him. But what she doesn't know is that they intercepted the call and they just patched her into some random. I don't know. Maybe it was a sheriff. I don't remember right now.
Yeah. So what's happening is you can't make outside calls unless you have the operator do it for you, and the operator's in on it, and she just transferred it to the chief of police, who was
Yeah.
like across the room giggling, so excited to fuck with this woman.
And so he gives her the social security number. So she thinks that she's spoken to the postmaster general, but she hasn't. Now she asks him, hey, don't you have a former employee who's like a horror freak who'd be able to tell you whether or not this movie, The Vampire Takes a Bride, is real? And so he tries to place a call to New York. Again, it's this time there's a message saying that you can't make calls out. And she's like, yo, that's the same message I got last time.
He was a projectionist, right?
Yeah.
So they talk to the operator, and they do patch them through, but this time they get a voicemail message saying whatever, it's not open right now, the theater, but stay tuned for a double feature of Night of the Living Dead and The Vampire Takes a Bride, which is a double feature I want to see.
It's like so ridiculous that it's hilarious. It's so fucking hilarious.
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What is the plan? Why are they being so elaborate with fucking with these people? It's not even being filmed. What is the point of this? Just kill them immediately.
So that means that their house is bugged, right? Because
it must be. How do they know that they would be doing this?
Like, I understand that you have to call into the operator to make a call out. So at that point, they're gonna fuck with whatever you call, but they don't know who you're calling or why you're calling. So unless you're bugged, so
they made this voicemail ahead of time. They were planning on this, but why? I don't know.
Yeah,
I love it. Now we go to the next day, day 4. And they'll the wife and husband, they go to the video shop together, and they'll going through every single membership they have in case something like sticks out at them that's strange. And as they're doing this, a relative of someone who is a member tries running a comedy, and that begins this whole thing.
Yes, but while this is happening, a teenage boy comes up,
that's right,
and says like, oh, do you guys have any XXX films? And he's like, in the back. And then he's like, do you have an account? Like, yeah, I have my father's account. He's like, oh, okay. So he goes to the back, like renting porn movies, XXX films on your father's account is so out of pocket. It's so it's so unnecessary. It doesn't come back later. That he just wanted that in there for some reason. Like, it's hilarious. It's so fucking funny.
Miguel, have you ever rented a film now?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
I was a child when video stills were around, so no. So the thing with video stills with me is they existed, and then I had a really odd thing happen in my childhood. I lived in a hotel, and once I got resettled in a house, video stills were just gone. So in that time, they just vanished.
Yeah, thanks, Blockbuster and then Amazon. But so the growing up, the video store we used to go to was called Ted's Action Video, and Ted's Action Video had porn XXX movies in the back, just like this place did, but it was separated by one of those bead curtains.
Yeah.
Right. Never went back there. Always wondered what was happening. It was like Shangri-La back there in my mind.
Just
like
come all over the place.
It could have been rooms. It could have been like those old, like where they show pictures, that the dudes go in the booths and dudes go to jack off fraud.
Video arcades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have been one of those things. I don't know, but I never back there. But later on, when I was growing up, maybe like I was driving, so I don't know, 18, 19, whatever. There was another video store that after we moved out to the suburbs that also had a XXX porn section. And there, one day I finally worked my courage up to go, because you have to be 18 plus, right? Yeah. So finally worked my courage up to go, and I'm just like, yep, just walking in here. Like,
how old?
What?
How old were you?
I don't know, like 19 or 20. Like, you had to be at least 18. Right?
And you do this? Are you alone or are you with somebody?
No, I was alone. But the only reason I went was because I had a friend who had porn, and I'm like, where do you get this porn? He's like, oh, I just go to, I forget the name of it, but I just go here, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, you just walk in? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I guess I can do that. So I walked in there, and I didn't rent, I bought, but it was used. So I thought I was being sick because I didn't want anybody's like rental, but you rented, I bought used shit anyway. So
yeah.
And I had those movies for a very long time, longer than I should have kept them.
I think I think I have some filmography in my closet. I've not used it though. I'm not watched it, but I have it because we have a mutual friend named Gambino Iglesias. And a long time ago, I bought some books from him. He mailed them to me. And for some reason, he included a bunch of Japanese pornography DVDs in the package. And I have no idea why, but I found it pretty amusing. But I just threw them in the closet. I forgot about it until right now. So it's a little seminal in my closet with like 9 guns.
That's America in a nutshell right there.
Hell
you are the most Texan man I've ever met.
How did this happen? So I don't know if Hollywood Video and Blockbuster had a film, but Family Video, really funny. They had a film section and they had a back room. Family Video. They had the XXXs, and that's all I have to say about that.
Did you ever go back there?
No, I was a child.
Sometimes kids sneak back there.
Nope. I do have one video still anecdote I would like to talk about. I don't want to talk about it, but I have to because this is the time to do so. I've had a bad experience at a Blockbuster one. So I've had a few bad experiences, but one I do want to talk about is I was sick. I was really sick. I don't know what I had, some type of flu. I was a small child. And for some reason, I went with my dad and my brother to Blockbuster instead of staying home, maybe so I could pick out a movie I wanted to see. Well, my dad wanted to rent GoldenEye. He was really intent on finding GoldenEye. So we were in this still a long time trying to find it. And I was sick. I desperately had to take a shit. And I was waiting for us to go back home. And he was still trying to find GoldenEye. And that is when I shit my pants with massive diarrhea in a Blockbuster.
And it's carpeted.
I had sweatpants on, and it went straight down my leg, buddy, into my shoe. And I was one of the realest moments in my life.
You're just like, at that point, you just have to stand still and let it happen.
And that's why I have like an immediate automatic just hatred for that guy who played James Bond in GoldenEye, Pierce Brosnan. Anytime he's in a movie, I just fucking hate it. And I think that's why.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened to you, Max.
Thank you. Do you have any unfortunate experiences at video rental shops you want to share?
No, I've
Oh,
been pretty
fuck
lucky.
you.
I've been pretty lucky.
Have you ever shit your pants in public?
I was thinking, I'm like, I like obviously streaks. I have like I had problems with that as a teenager, like problems, but like everybody, but as far as shitting myself,
Correct
no.
me if I'm wrong, and I can cut this out. Did you not shit your pants on the way to your wedding?
Okay, that's no, I didn't. You don't have to cut it. I
Okay.
did not. I almost shit myself. We
Oh,
we made it to the side of the road, and I shit on the side of the road of a highway
oh
because
my
I was
God.
about to shit on myself. Yeah.
How did that go? Did it just splat all over the place? Did you just leave it?
I left it. So
Welcome to
so
Decayed Tapes,
yeah.
folks.
So I was like, yo guys, I'm not gonna make it. We're running late. I made a stupid mistake of like going to Vegas for my bachelor party, and then having to drive down to Arizona, 4 hour
Uh-huh.
trip. It's just stupid. I got drunk and I was eating greasy food, and we couldn't really stop because I needed to get in time to make it to get the marriage license, right? Otherwise there was no wedding. So we couldn't stop. I was like, but I need to. So we went to the side of the road, and my brother pulled over the side of the road, and I went further in because they're cracking up and they're trying to take pictures of me. So like I'm like, I couldn't just shit there. I had to like go further into like this deserted area, and I could just see them trying to zoom in with their cameras. And I'm like, fuck off. So I finished taking my shit. I didn't look back. I couldn't look back, but I didn't feel any splattering or anything like that. Pulled up my pants. There was no toilet paper. It was a bad scene.
So this wasn't like a busy highway with the traffic passing you, watching you shit.
It was a busy highway, but it was like the entrance to like a construction zone as well.
Okay.
And so I was able to go off a bit more from the main road. So it wasn't like literally on the side of the road.
Okay.
The car was on the side of the road. I was able to walk off a bit more.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
did you clean up before getting married, or were you at like standing in front of your wife with shit on your butt?
I was able to clean up before that.
Okay. I imagined something real disgusting when you told me previously about this.
No,
I
like
thought you were on the way to get married, like right then. And I thought you shit your pants, ran in and did the vows. That's what I imagined. And
I see.
I love imagining that.
Then that's the story.
Okay, great. Oh my God. What the fuck
All right,
will we in this thing?
all right. So then that lady comes in, and there's a lady comes in and she says, I'm visiting my parents or my aunt and uncle, but all they have is like these weird movies. Do you have a comedy? They give her a comedy, and then she says, oh, they ask her, oh, so people have like these tapes, could you get us one? And she's like, yeah, of course I can get you one. And then she leaves, they walk outside, and they see her get kidnapped by Eli and the dude. And then they proceed to have the lowest speed car chase ever.
Well, they just stand and watch them grab this woman off a bike and drag her into the hill. They don't move. And once the Jeep or whatever begins going away, they're like, okay, let's lock up and follow them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then they finally follow them to a house, and they get out, and so does Eli, and they're dragging this woman along, and they say, this is none of your concern.
I have that same quote written down. It's pretty
It's like,
funny. But before they stop, they're going over what they're going to do. And Rachel, the wife, feels a little patronizing, I think, to the husband, because she's like, oh, these people have killed people. What are you going to do to stop them? Like, she's really like, you're not going to do anything. Why are we following them?
But also he isn't.
That is true. I just love that type of attitude. Like, you're not going to do anything to stop them. And it's true because both of them are really useless people.
Yeah. And then so they go into the house, and they've gone downstairs where they shoot the videos, and then the husband and wife are at the top of the stairs, and the wife's like, do not go down there, let me go to the police or something. He's like, no, I really want to find out. And she's like, no, you idiot, don't go down there. And of course,
They go
because
down.
his name is Max Booth, and the movie has to end this way, they go downstairs and they see the woman that was quote unquote kidnapped is
What does
actually
that
like
mean?
she wasn't really kidnapped.
Am I known for going down the basement?
You're known for doing things that you shouldn't do, like
Oh,
jumping across the water and cutting
okay.
yourself.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Proceed.
So they go down the stairs, and the woman who's quote unquote kidnapped was actually kind of like the leader, and she does the villain super villain thing where they tell you exactly what's about to happen and what they've done.
Big
and they're so
expo
happy.
dump. Yeah.
Yeah, big
The
expo
whole
dump.
town is in this basement. And they, they say what we've already said, basically. The town loves snuff films. It's all they want to watch. And they need someone else to manage the video shop who's cool with snuff films. And obviously they will not cool enough to do it. So now they have to die, but at least they will be in a movie, and they will be like the movie of the month, I think is what she says, or something like that. And she shouts lights, camera, action, and Eli and the shitty cameraman, they show up. And how do they kill them?
They don't get killed. All you see all the townspeople. They have these like creepy faces, grins on, and they all have a weapon, like it's Halloween Kills or something. And then they like get closer and closer, and then that's it. That's how the movie ends.
But we get an epilogue, day 5.
Well, yes, but real quick, she does say something here where she says, "The age of video violence is here," and that's a great tagline as well. And then because he loves his slow-mo, they do their slow-mo again. And then we do get day 5, the epilogue. And now they've taken over the video store, and all the covers are like with these white covers, and you could just tell that they are snuff films.
Yeah, because they just have the name of the person who dies on it, and also the cause of death. Like one was like Pete Jackson swallowed a Drano or something like that. I was going to ask you, what do you think my tape would say?
The tape of you being killed?
Yeah. How am I going to die is basically what I'm asking you.
Max Booth takes left turn.
Okay.
Max was in a car accident where he got hit after he took an ill-advised left turn.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't take left turns to this
it's
day. He just
traumatic.
takes a bunch of right turns.
You can get any place by going right enough times.
Yeah,
that's
he just
my
takes
motto.
a really long time.
What I want to know is they've completely redone this video shop. Supposedly, it's the next day.
Oh yeah,
It's day 5.
Yeah, day 5. Yeah.
Maybe the whole town did it. I don't know, but they also have T-shirts made now, so they only rent movies out to people who will call lifevilles, people who stay in this town for the rest of their life. Also, a lifeville is the nickname of someone who's on methadone. Just random coincidence.
Okay, and also somebody who's in jail for life is lifers.
Yeah, that's true as well.
But I don't know if you noticed this, because you said that you like Dracula Takes a Bride. That actor Dracula is the one who's at the counter renting something with that woman, and he keeps saying, "I want to bite your neck" or something like that, but in that same accent as Dracula.
That's right. I did notice that. Yeah. And the woman keeps like advertising, like, "Hey, have you seen the television? Do you see what we have going on?" And the movie ends with everyone looking at the television, and it says, "Coming soon, a hot new video." And what does it show?
We see the husband and wife, and they are on the floor, dead. One, I think the husband has his eye popped out,
something like that.
Yeah, and the woman is just cut up, and then that's the end of the movie. Then
that's video violence. The question is, what was going on? Why were they fucking with these people so much?
What was the reason? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
why?
Will they, like you asked in the beginning of this episode, did they intentionally plant these videos, like the Phil's video that got refilmed? Was that intentional? And if so, why?
Yeah,
will they?
I don't know.
Maybe they will see, and if they will cool, like, oh man, maybe they'll like this stuff film, and they could just run the shop for us. But no, the pussies.
Oh, yeah.
They will testing them, like how you test somebody with like drugs or something. Like, oh, you gonna snitch on me, or you cool? Do you parody? Do you watch stuff films?
a little wink of the eye, a little nudge, and they failed. They failed the test.
That must be what was going on. Now that I think about it, it makes so much sense. Gilly Cohen is a brilliant writer. Yeah, that's Snuff. So, what did you think?
Do you know, it was better than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with these SOV films. I've seen some, like, for a while. I can't remember the ones I've seen, but yeah, like I said, it's better than I thought it was. I had fun with it. It was slow at some parts. Some parts didn't make sense. I'm really not into sexual violence at all. Like, I really don't like Hellraiser too much. It's not my favorite franchise, and some of them are funny or whatever, but it's just I don't really like that aspect of it. So
I think people are going to run into that a lot in this podcast.
Yeah, I know. So, but with that being said, like, do you want to go into ratings now, or?
Yeah, we can rate it.
Okay.
What should we rate it? Like, out of 10 out of 10, what? So 1 out of
10 out of 10.
No.
Whoa, okay.
I misspoke.
No. What I'm saying is we're gonna go out of 10 and not out of like 4 or 5.
Oh, I mean, we can do 5 if you want. So out of 5, what? So what makes sense to go into this movie?
Salisbury steaks.
Yeah, okay. I would rate this movie 3 out of 5 Salisbury steaks. What would you rate it?
I'll do 2. I got it 2.5 Salisbury steaks.
2.5. Oh my god! So someone's taken a knife and cut this steak in half.
Yeah, and they shared it with the dog, which is what Salisbury steak should be.
Which is how they got that cool camera shot with that dog going to the camera. He was looking at Salisbury steak.
Yeah.
So I sent you a link I wanted you to read about Gilly Cohen on the Discord. We have a little info about like what he's been up to, because he only made 3 movies. He made this, he made Video Violence 2, and he made Captives. And those are the only 3 movies he's made. But beyond that, I mean, he didn't like go away, but he's owned video shops. He has been like a talent agent. He's also been heavily involved in theater production. So I sent you this slightly lengthy bio kind of talking about him. I think it would be worth reading for anyone interested in knowing a bit more about him.
Okay. Do you want me to read that?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. So Gary P. Cohen recently retired as the producing director for Middlesex County, New Jersey's Plays in the Park, where he worked for more than 30 years. Over Gary's diverse career, he has been a theatrical agent for the William Morris Agency, founded his own theater company, Celebration Playhouse, in the 70s, acted in many plays and musicals, and created lighting and set designs for PITP and other New Jersey theaters. He has written 2 books about theater, The Community Theater Handbook and The Theater Director's Primer, both published by Heinemann Publishers. Currently, he plays guitar and banjo for 2 musical groups, the Back Porch Jug Band and Cafe Mocha. He has written the librettos for 4 children's musicals, The Reluctant Drago, 3 Little Pigs in a Blanket, The High School Monster Musical, and JB's Harmonica with John Sebastian of The Loving Spoonful. A horror movie devotee, Gary has also written and directed 3 shot-and-video horror films, Video Violence, Video Violence 2, and Captives, all of which have been re-released on DVD after their initial VHS releases in 1987. Gary also helmed an award-winning documentary entitled Magic on Music Mountain, detailing the history of St. John Terrell's first theater in the round under a tent in Lambertville, New Jersey.
And what was the website that was on again? I forget.
BroadwayLicensing.com.
Cool. I thought that was just interesting background on him, especially for someone who like made these movies and then kind of vanished, but not like vanished, but kind of went away from making those movies. You kind of wonder like why, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Is like this page. They're talking about him based on this play called Frankenstein the Musical.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like he
loves the horror genre.
Yeah, he was like part of that play. Yeah, he's quite an accomplished dude. He sounds like a real cool guy. Yeah, it was a pretty fun watch, Video Violence.
Did you have any recommendations at all? So
Oh,
if you
okay.
liked video violence, you might also like this.
Let me think, because
I can go while you think. So this is a podcast I want to recommend called Video Palace. It is a fictional podcast about a guy who is investigating like a mysterious white VHS tape. And it's one of the best fictional podcasts I've ever listened to. I don't like a lot of those types of podcasts, but that one, I think it just had one season. It was really good. And if you like these paranoid conspiracies that involve VHSs, definitely check out Video Palace.
I can't think of anything.
That's
I
okay.
can't. This is yeah. I mean, obviously, other than the connection to Running Man. Other than that, I can't think of anything.
Check out Running Man. Good movie. Okay book.
Yeah.
I think that's it. How can people find you online, Miguel?
They can find me on My Horror Confessional. If you email me, just myhorrorconfessional@gmail.com. On Twitter, I'm at MHC. No, I'm at MHC Pod. Yeah, that's it. Instagram, My Horror Confessional.
You can find me at ghoulish.lip, the best website of all time.
Best fucking website ever. I'm so
I
jealous.
know. Go to patreon.com/decayed tapes if you want to support us. We will release the episodes like, I don't know, a few days early before it goes live, and also do the video portion of it as well. And maybe some other fun stuff. I don't know. We haven't talked
I was
about
thinking
it yet.
I was thinking of allowing our Patreon members to pick movies.
That would be pretty cool if they could vote on one.
Yeah, like vote for one for like the month of December or something like that. I think that'd be really cool.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
We will probably do that. Until then, stay spooky. What's a good way to end this? What's a good line? A good video themed line?
I was just gonna say live spooky, die spooky. Ha ha ha.
Live spooky, die spooky.